All right, let's go over chapters 2 and 3 of Everything's an Argument. These are the things that were in your packet, so make sure that you are checking your packet answers against these answers. And these are directly from the textbook. I really should have quotation marks around most of these things. They are not my original ideas. They are definitely from the textbook Everything's an Argument. All right, chapter 2 goes over emotion or pathos. And the first question that you were asked in the packet is, how is emotion used to build bridges? And emotion helps to connect with the audience. For a speaker, he may tell a joke, he may give a short anecdote about something in his life or a story that he knows about. So you're going to use information in a way with your audience that you know might put them at ease or might alarm them. It kind of depends on the emotion you want to evoke, but it's going to make sure that the audience is listening. They'll begin to trust you a little bit more, hopefully, so you'll start to roll into ethos. So it's a good connection point, which leads us to the next part of, once you have their attention, how do you sustain your argument, or how do you continue to make sure your audience is listening to you? So once you have used emotion, you've gained some trust, you're going to need to go to logos next, or make a logical argument. And emotions are going to need to be interwoven with those logical arguments as well, because they will make them more memorable. So again, giving them the statistics and the data, you'd still want to use some descriptive language within those. In certain cases, especially like a commercial that you'll see or something like that may have a startling image associated with it. They may give you a statistic on drunk driving, but then show you a crash scene. So you're going to have 1, information, and 2, emotion, and those two things tied together can make something memorable. You have to be careful though, because too much emotion can turn an audience off or turn them away, and they won't want to continue with your argument. So you do have to be fine with that. And then the last thing in the emotion chapter, chapter 2, is what role does humor play in the argument? Humor is going to make the medicine go down a bit easier. So whatever the message is for the audience, it's going to put them at ease, either because they're laughing or they're smiling or they're angry or they're upset and they want to hear more. Humor will a lot of times let people put their guards down. Again, if they're not wanting to listen to you, they may be more apt to listen to you because you've told a joke or you've pointed out something about someone. So humor is definitely something that is probably one of the strongest emotions. I know it's something that I use quite a bit just to make sure that my students are listening, that they're staying on top of it, or they're staying with me. So it's a pretty popular go-to for speakers. All right, jumping into chapter 3 is on character or authority, also known as ethos. How do arguments based on character work? For the most part, it's really just, does the audience trust you? You always want to make sure that you're gaining the audience trust. You do that by making sure that you seem credible or knowledgeable, that you are the authority on the subject, that there isn't anyone who at that moment in time knows more than you, and if there is, you're maybe pulling them in to use them as evidence. And then you want to make it seem like you're not necessarily gaining anything, and if you are, like if you're trying to win something, you're clear in what your motives are as to why you want to win that thing. So obviously someone running for a political position isn't doing that for totally unselfish reasons because he or she wants to win. But if it's clear as to why he or she wants to win because they want to, do certain things, then it, again, makes a bit more sense to the audience and will still be willing to trust you. The next one is, how does one establish trustworthiness and credibility in an argument? And again, it kind of ties in with the first question from this chapter. You have to be honest, or at least appear honest. I know it sounds bad, but you have to at least appear like you are being honest. So if you're not being honest, you should probably work on that. You need to respect the audience. If they can tell that you're not respecting them, then again, that's a real turnoff for them. And then plain old likability, and that's kind of that whole Kennedy-Nixon thing. People liked President Kennedy, more than they liked President Nixon. Or at that time he wasn't president yet, but they liked him just based on looks and just based on the way he spoke to people. So he ended up really winning because he was more likable. So a lot of times that likability factor will play into how an audience feels about a person. It's not really the best reason to trust someone, but it is part of a more superficial society. And then how does one claim authority in an argument? There are multiple ways that you can do this. One, if you have a title, such as doctor, something to that effect. You attach that to your name when you introduce yourself to your audience. If you hold a special degree or certification, you may let your audience know that in some way, either by stating it or putting it somewhere that they would be able to see it. You may state the number of years you've worked in the field. I know that normally on my first day of teaching, I always let people know how long I've taught the course or how long I've been a teacher in general. So that's definitely going to be something that, again, your audience likes to know, likes to listen to. All right, you're going to go next into a quiz over chapters 2 and 3. This isn't everything that's on the quiz. The quiz also includes chapter 1, and then again, you did need to do the readings for both of those chapters.